Okay, so what's up people? This is Shy again, and today I'm trying something a bit different. And first of all, I'd like to say thank you for the 1,000 views combined on my first 3 videos. I mean, it's kind of crazy. It's not something to usually celebrate, I know it and I recognize it, but I am still shocked that within a week of trying to create stuff on YouTube for the game called Godfall, I managed to have that bunch of views, as my previous attempt 3 years ago for Rocket League got me 60 views in like a year. Yeah, so that's an improvement. So you guys know Godfall, right? The heat on the game was relentless, but there was at least as many people defending the game than ones insulting it. And I liked it. Oh, did I like it. So after 3 different builds and something around 80 hours playtime, I feel like I want to talk a bit about this game, and I am gonna do this, let's say, in a kind of a pros and cons list. But first off, I'm just saying that I made this video because yesterday I opened the game to go and grind the tower once again so I could get new items, new legendaries, and I could theory craft more builds for YouTube. And I actually decided to turn it off as soon as I got in, and I would try to find another game to play and get some content out of. It was real good since Godfall came out because there wasn't much content about it and people would kind of scrambling their way around. But I didn't feel like burning myself on 50 and plus floors again of Tower of Ascension just so I could try to get a few legendaries and especially the good ones that I don't already have. And I thought to myself, is this where I'm growing tired a bit? Like, while quitting the game, I was like, okay, so is this over? Like, what about Godfall now? But don't get me wrong, this game is amazing. I just feel like once I reached level 50, sorry, and I could handle my way around the end game, Dreamstone and the tower, my progression just stopped, and so did my motivation. So here's a small list of linked pros and cons that I made. I mean, there's basically 3 points that I want to figure out, that I want to point out. The combat mechanics are crazy good, but it's also very shadowed by something that I'm gonna call flow interruptive game design. In the looter games in general, what I call flow is the term that will make you vividly addicted to your to your time in the game. If you think of games like Diablo, Path of Exile, Destiny, Wolves and Lords of Mayhem, just to name a few, you play them and you realize that the mechanics around the game are made so you can clear fast, have a quick sense of progression, gain enough items to keep you occupied, so you would read the statistics of it between your zones, and it's all this so you can feel that 1 hour of gameplay quickly turns into 5, since there's nothing that will make you feel like your time slows and annoy you to the point of leaving. Unfortunately, in Godfall, there are a bunch of mechanics like that will slow you down sometimes, even to the point of stopping you and annoying you. Let's say for once the delayed sprint. So when you sprint in Godfall, after a couple seconds, if you go straight forward, you are going to double your speed up. You quickly get used to it. You quickly get used to the speed, but as soon as you tilt your camera like for a couple degrees on the left or the right, it stops. You just go back to regular sprinting. And I see no reason why you would do that because the level designs is made as it's a maze. You just keep turning all the time. So just put the regular speed at the second one, or just don't put it at all, I believe. So you don't get used to a faster speed and then you feel like a slowpoke. There's also the targeting window that is used for chests, resources like the mother loads and blue warping stones that you use to navigate your way through through stories in the maps. It's also a tad annoying because it's very focused while using the controller, so it's not intuitive as much as you would like to. You really have to focus on one point that is put in the models in the game just so you can interact with it, and interacting is holding the button for 1 second. So basically, yes, you're losing just a couple seconds, but like it's still very annoying when you're just sprinting all the way forward. You just come back from a game, not from a game, you come back from a fight, you're very hyped up, you sprint forward, you in full speed mode, and then you gotta wait, you gotta stop, you gotta look at the thing correctly, you gotta press your B button for like 1 second, and then you need to start over again and keep rolling. So it's very flow interruptive, just like I said before. And talking about those warp stones, those blue things, I also strongly believe that they could have just made the worlds without it. I think it's just, I mean, it's a flavor mechanic, I would guess, but having to stop, aim, hold the button, and then you warp, and it's not seamless. Like it's very clunky. You stop, you aim, you TP. When you land, you don't start running right away. You just like there's a small animation recovery. I mean, it's just a waste of time, really. Like in my opinion, it's a waste of time. And as for the last point I would like to point out for that, the knockdown, the hellish knockdown. So You're in a fight, you're in a mad combo state, you're doing like all your fights because there's a bunch of different ways to fight, and then you have either a boss type or 5 different mobs in your encounter that will knock you down on your back, and it can be chained reaction. And it's not even with the red attacks that you have to dodge, because this is at least an indicator that CC is going to come, and by CC I mean crowd control. You have the indicator that it's coming, so you can dodge it, but there are a few mobs that can do this just like originally. Like their attacks just makes you fall down to the ground, and there's no way to react or shorten the time that you spend recovering, and it's very, very, very annoying as it stops you into your flow. I don't know if I'm using this right, but it's even like a small state of distraught at some point where I just want to quit the game because I'm pissed at the fact that I'm getting chain CC all the time and I can't recover quickly from it. But on a more positive note, the combat of this game is very, and I say very, diverse, and it was the main selling point of the game, and God did they get it right. There's so many ways for you to fight that me, in my first 10 hours of gameplay, I would actually forget about a ton of mechanics, like the shield throw, the sundering slam, the petrifying slam, the soul shatter, the breach damage, and whatnot. Everything was like, oh shit, kind of fuzzy. I was just mashing my buttons, trying to figure out my controls, and at some point you realize that they blend very well together. Yet again, this is all just my opinion. This leads me on to my second point in the pros and cons list. These guys rock the heck out of this game with the aesthetics of the world design, of the valor plates, of the weapons. It is very, very amazing. Like, no, for real, so much details was put into the way they look and give them a unique blend that I would just equip weapons to take a print screen to see how cool I looked with it, and with the different valor plates and the thematics and the horns and the whatnot. But they were a bit too ambitious for the resources taken to enchant and upgrade, and I believe not enough ambitious with the valor plate customization. Yes, I get the whole gist of every valor plate has a purpose, with the status they inflict, the passive they give, and the Archon Fury. But I believe that for a game genre like this, customizing your builds is very important in any way possible. And yes, they have done well with the accessories and the augments, but they still could bump it up a notch just by adding a few things. What if you could use the excess valor plate cores that you get to upgrade your armors so that you would be motivated to farm the worlds? I mean, so much thought was put into the levels, but so little motivation just to go back and farm it and see it, because it's not a great drop rate. It could have the armor's passive upgraded. You could gain a choice of trait that you could add to your actual armor, so you could dual wield elements a bit more easily. If they wanted a more neutral way, they could have made that each level of your armor would turn the keystones in the augment charts to white, which would yet again give you way more freedom on your builds and on the nodes that you can put. It could also give you more augment power, so you could wield bigger combinations of rarity nodes, and it would motivate you to see how far your build can go in the endless endgame. And as yet again, this is still my honest opinion. The endgame leads me to the third pros and cons. I like the whole roguelike endgame style, with the choices on the doors of your ascension, and believe me, I'm a huge fan of the game called Hades, which has the same thing. It has a great replayability, even if there is a modest creep variety. I do believe that we lack a progression to propel us through this replayability. Like, think about competition with the Greater Rifts of Diablo, or the maps of Path of Exile, or the raids in Destiny, where you can compare yourself to every other player and seeing how far you can reach. It wouldn't cost too many resources to implement a leaderboard of who goes the farthest and what difficulty, and it could be based on solos and multiplayers. It would be a quick way to put in seasonal rewards, which would entice people to play more and give more freedom of creativity to the members of the studio. And it would justify the price of the game also, because people would keep coming back at it. I think that for very little work, they could implement a sense of competition and sensible cooperation that could even get people to play more together, and the players' friends would like to buy the games just so they could play with their friends. And I mean, my favorite game ever, called Absolver, was also trying to get an infinite endgame, and it was called Downfall, and it actually fell off because of lack of purpose. I mean, yes, my friends bought it to play with me, but it wouldn't give them anything. We couldn't compare to people, we couldn't like have new animations of fighting and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, at some point people just dished out of it and the game died. So while giving you my take on this Godfall video, I feel that I might want to turn away from creating builds, at least until I get a bit more freedom, since I barely feel like grinding the Tower of Trials / Ascension would benefit me in any way, but I am not turning away from the KingdomShy's idea, and I'm looking forward to more content for this channel to see how many people I can reach out to and how quickly I can improve my editing skills, because as you can see, I am quite new at this. Yeah, so I had this idea of giving you a roadmap of what I'm looking forward to at this very moment. So I am debating whether Last Epoch is interesting enough for me to start creating builds around it, as the community is quite small, and aiming at a certain niche public is what I would like to do the most to start with. I also really look forward to the game called Outriders that comes out in February, where I will also create a bunch of builds and share it to you guys, and the game seems so good, very complete, gameplay kind of like Remnants from the Ashes. The boss designs seems very amazing, and there's a lot of build potencies, with every classes being divided up in 3, but you can also take notes from each tree. It's actually pretty good. I know that this is going to sound funky, but Anthem 2.0 might also be worth covering for me, since I was a huge... I was expecting Anthem so much. Like, I bought the biggest pack, and my hopes were so high for this game because it looked so great. But considering that the launch was a bit of a mess, I am hoping that the 2.0 thing is going to be more what we want. There's Lost Ark, who's coming in 2020 for a Western release. That's very nice also. So these are a few ideas of what I could cover. Right now I'm playing a lot of tabletop miniature game with my brother, but like at some point I'll be back real soon with a decisive choice. And thank you all, and I repeat, I've seen channels started for months that rolls an average of 100 views per video, and it is very good, and I'm very modest about this. And these channels, I'm subscribing to them and they're doing real good, but in no world I would have expected to see my second most video reach 700 views in such a short time, and I really want to thank you for it. Like, I mean, that's you guys, and hell, I'm gonna try to keep it up and pump many more videos like for different games. So yeah, that's it. Until next time, friends. Shy out.